Investigation of a deadly terrorist attack in New York City are still underway. We have the latest on a live report.
Confusion concerning a new power grid for the island of Puerto Rico keeps residents in the dark.
The rumors of online trolls influenced the 2016 election that have reached Capitol Hill. We have the statements from the social media giants.
And it's that time of year again. We have tips for you to keep during daylight savings and weather.
Good evening, my name is Andrew Vargas.
And I'm Tony Cornejo. Welcome to Newscene.
This week, New York City experienced a deadly terrorist attack. Shay Mortos has the details.
Thank you, Andrew. New York City is in mourning for the 8 lives lost on Halloween after a terrorist attack. The suspect is being charged with federal terrorism offenses. Authorities are still investigating the crime, including the attacker's motivations and if he had any accomplices. At this point in time, some facts are clear, although many questions have yet to be answered. New York City is still reeling from its deadliest terrorist attack since 9/11. 8 people are dead and 11 were hospitalized when a terrorist drove a rented truck through a bike path adjacent to the Hudson River on Tuesday. The suspect, 29-year-old Saifullah Saipov from Uzbekistan, is being charged with providing material support to ISIS, violence, and destruction of motor vehicles. The federal criminal complaint against Saipov states he chose to attack on Halloween because he believed there would be more civilians on the street for the holiday. The suspect appeared in federal court on Thursday in a wheelchair and did not enter a plea. Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City appeared before the press on Thursday.
I'm not someone who believes in the death penalty in general. I just don't. I believe this is an individual who should rot in prison for the rest of his life.
Saipov rented the truck from a Home Depot in New Jersey and crossed into Manhattan via the George Washington Bridge. At 3:04 p.m., Saipov turned onto the bike path between West Street and the Hudson River. For the next 4 minutes, he drove roughly a mile, leaving a graphic crime scene with bodies and bikes strewn on the sides of the path. At 3:08, he crashed into a school bus at Chambers Street. Multiple students who were on the bus were injured and taken to the hospital. Once he crashed, Saipov exited the truck and began to run around the street, waving a pellet gun and a paintball gun. One student who attends Manhattan Borough Community College witnessed the attack and posted videos of Saipov on Snapchat.
I thought he's something for Halloween or he's something for like social experiment, like prank. I heard the gunshots, like 5-6 gunshots, so I was kind of scared.
Authorities say Saipov was screaming Allahu Akbar, which means God is great in Arabic. Saipov was shot in the abdomen by Officer Ryan Nash and was taken down by police. He was taken to Bellevue Hospital and underwent surgery. Investigators found knives in and around the truck, along with a note in English and Arabic which indicated allegiance to ISIS. Saipov came to the United States in 2010 as a part of the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program and is a legal resident with a green card. Also, according to the criminal complaint, Saipov rented a truck 2 months before the attack, which he used to practice turns. Investigators believe Saipov has been planning an attack for nearly a year. Mayor de Blasio says this is not the time for politics and reminds the community that the phrase, "if you see something, say something," is not a passive statement. Mayor de Blasio also criticizes President Donald Trump for politicizing the attack and for the president's online spat with Senator Chuck Schumer. Our hearts go out to the families of the victims and the NYC community. Back to you two at the desk.
Following the terrorist attack in New York City, President Donald Trump pushes the buttons on Senator Schumer. Here's Maria with the latest.
Right after the attack, Trump did not hesitate to post on Twitter. Senator Schumer tweeted, "I guess it's not too soon to politicize a tragedy."
The president ought to stop tweeting and start leading. The American people long for leadership, not divisiveness, not finger-pointing, not name-calling.
This motivated Trump to take action to his cabinet meeting.
I'm calling on Congress to immediately terminate the diversity visa lottery program. It's a disaster for our country.
The reason is because the terrorist from the attack came to the U.S. through this program. The program is an annual random lottery that distributes around 50,000 visas to countries where there is a low rate of immigration to the U.S. To wanting to stop the green card, to getting stuck with house arrest. Trump's former chairman, Paul Manafort, was denied by the judge early release of house arrest due to his history of deception. A man has 3 passports, has traveled to over 10 countries just this year with a fake name, holding millions of dollars in foreign bank accounts. This ties to Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia intruding in the 2016 presidential election. He currently faces more than 10 years if convicted of charges. In regards to the Russia investigation, Jared Kushner has voluntarily turned in documents he had from the campaign. The documents are similar to the ones he gave to congressional investigators. The White House and Kushner's lawyer have yet to comment on this action. Maria Murcia, Newscene.
This past Thursday, Trump nominated Jerome H. Powell to chair of the Federal Reserve, bypassing Janet Yellen for a second term.
Google, Facebook, and Twitter sent lawyers this week to testify on Capitol Hill about the alleged foreign intrusion in the 2016 election. Roughly 140 million Americans may have been exposed to the content on social media generated by Russian-linked trolls. Some Republicans suggest these were not partisan attacks, but rather showing general chaos and disrupting democracy. Federal election laws prohibit contributions by foreign governments. California Senator Dianne Feinstein was blunt in her criticism of the tech giants. She appealed to them to improve vetting and tracking of paid content on their platforms. Government regulations on online political ads have been funding. Discussed that internet giants have implied that they police themselves.
The White House has pushed back the release of their tax reform after failing to finalize the last-minute changes on the legislation. President Trump's team is pleased with the progress they are making with the reform. The cancellation is due in the last minute. Legislation changes. The president is hopeful of getting this approved by Thanksgiving Day and wants the law to be passed by Christmas Day. Several financial-minded lawmakers continue to express disfavor of this GOP tax plan.
National Public Radio's news chief Michael Oreskes resigned on Wednesday following sexual allegations of sexual harassment. Oreskes apologized, saying, quote, "My behavior was wrong and inexcusable, and I accept full responsibility." He joined the New York Times in 1981 and was managing editor at the Associated Press between 2008 and 2015. When he joined NPR, an increasing number of media figures are facing similar allegations in recent days, including journalists from the New Republic and The Atlantic, and in BBC News.
The U.S. Congress is now investigating Puerto Rico's power grid contract with Whitefish. Concerns were raised over the company's small scale of limited experience, and FEMA questions whether contract prices are reasonable. On Sunday, Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló canceled the contract, which has been signed by PREPA, the Puerto Rico Energy Power Authority. According to FEMA, neither the federal government nor FEMA were involved in the agreement.
So let me be clear. The Whitefish contract was not a FEMA contract. PREPA entered into this contract in late September. We were notified several weeks after the fact. There was also language in there that would suggest that the federal government would never audit Whitefish, which there's not a lawyer inside FEMA that would ever agree to that type of language. So
FEMA also notes that the contract was awarded without a competitive bid process. While these concerns are addressed, about 70% of Puerto Rico is still without power.
San Diego City College is honoring its veteran students with many activities in the coming days. There will be workshops, a food drive, and motivational speakers through the first 2 weeks of November. The Learning Resource Center has a special photographic war memorial that will run during the LRC hours. The memorial is to remember and honor our fallen heroes. For more information, visit the website shown on your screen.
Also, find out which World Championship event is taking place this weekend at Del Mar.
Baseball's Falls Classic World Series came to an exciting close this week. We will have the full rundown in sports.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Tuesday evening, SWAT officers swarmed Riverside Elementary School due to a 7-hour standoff with a parent who had taken a teacher hostage. The parent was identified as Lavelle Keenan, who was shot by police and later pronounced dead at the hospital. Authorities are still trying to uncover the motives for the situation. The school is canceled the rest of the week, and students who have students who are need for help recovering for this tragic event will have counselors available this coming Wednesday. Several students went to school to pick up their items.
The city leaders of Imperial Beach are asking the State Department to investigate a toxic spill that happened last week. The sewage flowed into the ocean near Playas de Tijuana, contaminating the waters off Imperial Beach. Several surfers, including Imperial Beach Mayor Serge Dedina, became ill after surfing in the polluted waters. Dedina says that he and others are asking for State Department investigations into the sewage spill that significantly impacted public health in Imperial Beach. He also says that the CSPT are more concerned with covering up pollution than protecting public health.
3 students in SDSU's sorority are recovering from meningitis this weekend. The members of Alpha Phi were hospitalized recently for the symptoms of viral meningitis. This virus generally resolves itself under the 10 days. Its more dangerous bacteria, meningitis, is potentially deadly. But the recent SDSU cases were all confirmed viral outbreaks by the County Health and Human Services. There is no vaccine that prevents this case. Although SDSU officials do recommend students to get the bacterial meningitis vaccine.
San Diego Christian College, a nonprofit school in Santee, can account for more than $20 million in expenses. Chief Financial Officer Steve Cheney was quoted in an interview saying he can't remember what the $20 million paid for. Meanwhile, current students have been complaining of insufficient facilities, and former staff claim they were underpaid. The school's attorney, Tracy Warren, has told other sources via email that they should cease and desist efforts to reach the Board of Trustees.
Food distributions in the parks are still being halted in El Cajon. The City Council temporarily prohibits feeding homeless people to protect from the outbreak of Hep A. The City Council explains that the group serving food have not obtained operative permits. The city estimates there are at least 10 feeding events that are still being held every month, leaving behind trash and debris. The emergency orchestrated will stay in effect until the county lifts the health emergency.
The homeless population in San Diego has a new ally. Independent filmmaker Dennis Stein created Tony the Movie, a documentary about homelessness in San Diego. In the film, he follows Tony, who has been homeless for 2 years, to discover some of the problems and progress seen by people living on the street. Stein and Tony traveled to Austin, Texas to gather data about how the city has reduced its homeless population by half and brought this information to San Diego leaders. Stein has already screened his film at a dozen locations in San Diego.
Racing fans, this time comes the Breeders' Cup World Championship horsing racing is hitting Del Mar racing tracks. This upcoming November the 3rd and the 4th, the weekend-long celebrations started on October 28th. This event brings $68 million in local revenue. As part of the celebration, the Breeders' Cup Committee will be planning many programs and activities, including galas, concerts, and golf tournaments. The Breeders' Cup is expecting over 100,000 fans and experience horse racing, the most glorious horse racing. And if you cannot make it in person, catch all 13 races on the NBC and the network during the 9-hour live broadcast from San Diego.
Well, baseball season is over, and the World Series will be one of the fans will definitely remember. Here is Marissa Gonzalez with sports. Marissa.
Thanks, guys. The World Series between the Astros and Dodgers made it to a Game 7, and baseball fans all over gathered to watch the finale. In Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium, the Astros took an early 1-0 lead with Bregman knocking down this ball. Yu Darvish running over, trying to cover first, gets a bad throw, and the Astros would score on this wild throw. Later on in the second inning, at a full count, George Springer, staying hot as he has all series, will go deep, banging that ball right out of the field. And the Astros would make it 5-0 in the second. As the excitement grew, we finally got what we had been waiting for.
Sanchez success. Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
George Springer would get the MVP award with his 5 home runs, tying the all-time single World Series record. Dodger fans went home disappointed while the Astros celebrated, Carlos Correa even proposing to his girlfriend in the midst of that celebration. Now, meanwhile, the NFL trade deadline brought some excitement and surprises along the way. The Niners picked up quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo from the Patriots, a move that fans should definitely be looking forward to, especially considering where they're at. This was in exchange for the Niners' second-round pick, but they're looking for Garoppolo to be their quarterback of the future.
Excited about it, really. Just kind of eager to get this opportunity. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
Now, especially with lots of talks of Kirk Cousins going to San Francisco, this trade seems to have taken that off the table. Meanwhile, the running game of the Eagles has seen better days, and them getting Jay Ajayi from the Dolphins can help them in this area. Dwayne Brown has been traded to the Seahawks, and while he may not be their long-term left tackle, it does help with the issues of their O-line as of now. And the Bills traded Marcel Darius to the Jaguars, adding another asset to their defensive line. Now, meanwhile, right here at City College last year, the Knights won their first basketball championship for City. The team finished 31-5 overall and had a 17-game winning streak. The Knights will start the preseason as the #1 seed in the state, but this ranking doesn't matter to head coach Mitch Charlins.
I don't want them to think about defending anything. I don't want them to think about defending the state title. That's not what we're doing. We're desperately hunting a state championship.
Coach Charlins adds the winning title championship puts the Knights on the map as a strong basketball program. Only 4 players from the winning team are back this season. Most of them are freshmen and transfers from other teams. The Knights will start their preseason tonight playing against the LA Harbor. And also right here at City, the Knights women's volleyball team keeps making history. The team got its first ever conference title after defeating the Mesa Olympians 3-0 on Wednesday. The Lady Knights have been unstoppable, owning the court and keeping a 13-game winning streak. They're currently undefeated in their conference and have lost only 1 game this season. The Knights are starting the PCAC title with Grossmont, but if they win today, they'll be the outright champions. The Knights have exceeded their last season's success when they placed 3rd and qualified for the playoffs for the first time. This season, they took many by surprise, and now the question is if they'll be able to qualify for the state championship. That's going to wrap it up right here for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Hundreds of skeletons walked through the streets of Barrio Logan this past Thursday. Stay tuned for more.
And last week, Season 2 of Stranger Things premiered on Netflix, and the viewership numbers might surprise you. We have more on entertainment.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's the people. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? Because love has no labels.
A shooting at a well-known supermarket turns out deadly, killing 3 people. Thursday morning, Scott Orner was taken in custody after entering a Walmart, releasing fire, killing 2 men and a woman. The government filled the store in a calm manner, sending the authorities on an overnight search for him. Investigators said a motive has not been released yet on why the suspect gunned down on the Walmart. The store spokesman announced no employees were injured and counselors will be available to help another employees.
The new iPhone X launched today, and fans, as usual, waited in long lines to get their new iPhone. In turn, Apple's shares increased by 3%, marking a record high. A stronger demand is already being seen by Apple heading into the holiday season. Apple executives are calling this the biggest leap since the original iPhone. The X starts at $999.
More victims are speaking out as the number of Hollywood sexual assault scandals continues to grow. Olivia Munn is the latest to come forward and claiming director Brett Ratner exposed himself on the set and after the sunset. Other influences names facing sexual allegations include Kevin Spacey, Dustin Hoffman, and Jeremy Piven. As more of these assertions surface, the conditions to fade.
Another celebrity is facing sexual allegation charges. Colton Chavez has the story for You Entertainment. How's it going, Colton?
Thanks, guys. The House of Cards star Kevin Spacey is playing 52-card pickup as he tries to piece his life back together. Actor Anthony Rapp claims Kevin Spacey made a sexual advance towards him in 1986. At the time, Spacey was 26 and Rapp was only 14. In an apology on Twitter, Spacey blamed the incident on being intoxicated and revealed that he now chooses to live out as a gay man. The real backlash, though, came from others who believed he deflected the sexual assault allegation by coming out. Since Anthony Rapp, 3 more men have come forward and Spacey is currently seeking treatment. The Netflix hit Stranger Things released its 2nd season last week, and as expected, fans went crazy. Nielsen, a company who has been measuring television ratings since the 1950s, released the numbers for the 2nd season, and they were impressive. Within 3 days, the series drew in over 15 million viewers and averaged 8 million viewers per episode. Now, these numbers don't include viewers who watched on their laptop or smartphone, so it's safe to say the 15 million could be a much bigger number. The full season is available on Netflix for everyone who has been a stranger to this year's biggest series. Now, while Netflix has been creating a lot of buzz with its hit series, November promises to be a big month at the box office. The Justice League will hit theaters November 17th, bringing all your favorite DC characters to one screen. Also looking to save the day, Thor Ragnarok comes out tonight. Fans have followed the franchise closely and look forward to the next chapter in the Marvel series. Finally, just in time for the holiday season, A Bad Mom's Christmas made its way to theaters this past Wednesday. These, plus many more, just make you pay for that overpriced ticket at the movie theater. And that is going to wrap us up here in entertainment. Back to you both at the desk.
Thank you, Colton. Fall weather is officially here. Stay tuned to find out the weekend forecast.
6 years old, and she is my very best friend. I couldn't live alone without her. I spend a lot of time in my backyard. I feed the birds and the bees. I love my flowers. The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. I love them. They're my savior. And I look forward to the volunteers because they've all become my friends. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Let's check today's forecast with Devon Almos with weather. What's going on, Devon?
Thank you, guys. And with fall weather being here, the temperatures are going to cool down some, and we're going to experience some nice weather. And as we get into the today's forecast, the coast is going to be 70 and it's going to cool down to about 61. Moving into the inland, it's going to be 70 and it's going to cool down to about 55. And in the mountains, 57 and 44 at night. Moving on to the desert, it's going to cool down a little bit from what it's usually been, 81, and it's going to be 57, and the skies are going to clear out from the clouds. Now on to our surf report. Okay, so if you're going to be in the water, the tides are going to be a little bit strong. So if you get caught on that, just swim off to the sides and you guys will be fine. And water temperatures are going to be about 66%, 66 degrees, and waves are going to be about 2% and 2 feet and 2 to 5 feet. And it's going to be the sun's going to set at 6 p.m. Now on to our regional. Okay, and we might be expecting a little bit of rain, not anything too bad. And in the mountain range, we're going to be expecting a little bit of snow where you see the blue. Now on to Oceanside and Del Mar, you can see that it's going to be in the low 60s and the high 59s, and moving into the inland is going to be the 55 and 57 for Escondido, and in the mountain range it's going to be 40, and on to Borrego Springs it's going to be 62. Okay, for the forecast, today is going to be a 70, and it's going to cool down tonight at a 61. On to the weekend, it's going to be 69, and Sunday is going to be 68, and the night's going to cool down to 62 and 60. On to the week, it's going to be 71 and a 72 throughout the week. And as we get to Wednesday through Friday, the skies are going to clear out, and you're not going to see any clouds. And as we get to the inland, the temperature is going to heat up from Monday to Friday, 73 to 78. And Sunday, we're going to have daylight savings. So all the sleepyheads, you get an extra hour of sleep. So that's good for you. And hey, that's all the time we have for weather. And back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Devon. It sounds like you're more than ready for the weekend. Well, Dia de los Muertos, also known as Day of the Dead, has been celebrated for nearly a month over at the Sherman Heights Community Center this year. The Community Center topped off its 23rd annual celebration with a nighttime candlelight procession in Barrio Logan on Thursday. The procession looked a lot more like a festival with hundreds of locals that it drew in. The Community Center set up dozens of beautiful indoor and outdoor altars for people to pay their respects.
And that's going to wrap up to this episode of Newscene. I'm Andrew Vargas.
And I'm Tony Cornejo. So, do you, as you know, from your background, does your family celebrate Dia de los Muertos?
No, I never have ever celebrated Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, make my own altars. It's nice to pay the respect to the people who came before. You can kind of learn where your family history came through.
That's going to be all for today. Thank you. Good night.
We were rapping this.
I know, you're rapping us.